What's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of our Sunday Talk. We appreciate everybody sending the questions. It's a big weekend in sports. We have the draft. Exciting draft, probably like one of the most exciting drafts I think the last few years. There's just a lot of past the second pick. It's just a ton of what ifs. So that's pretty exciting. But we're excited to answer your questions. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So first question, we got at Griff, friend of the show, Griffin. And a really, really great question just because I think the NBA is just filled with so many great young players. So this is a great question. Top 5 players under 25 in the NBA. I have mine, but I want to hear your guys' first. So start with Jose. What'd you have?
I mean, just spitballing off the top of my head. I got Luka, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, and De'Aaron Fox.
That was mine. I just had I had Zion instead of De'Aaron Fox, but that was my exact same 5 too. What about you, Liam?
Yeah, so I ordered mine. I put number 1, Luka. I think it's kind of obvious, basically an MVP at this point. Number 2, Mr. 60-point himself, Jason Tatum. Number 3, got Simmons. Just obviously his ability to, be an all-around player besides his jump shooting, but still obviously amazing defender. Zion's at 4. And then for 5, I couldn't decide between the two because I think they're pretty much similar. So I have Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell tied for my 5th spot. But Fox would have very much so be on this list. But I think just him playing on a team that's not as good, not translating to wins, makes it hard for him to throw me up in that top 5.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I had Luka number 1 too. Luka, Tatum, Zion, Donovan Mitchell, and then Booker. Then I had some honorable mentions too, like Simmons too is right outside. De'Aaron Fox and Ja. Gotta throw Bam in there too. Forgetting about Bam, he's fantastic. And then also Jaylen Brown because it's really hard to find an elite 3-and-D versatile wing like that. So next question from at Ibrahim Dogger. Shout out our boy. Who do you guys see going further in the playoffs, the Suns or the Jazz? I like the Suns more, but I really just think it kind of depends on the seeding because, it's inevitable that one of those two teams is going to have to play the Lakers in the second round. So I think whoever doesn't run into them has the best chance of getting the farthest. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think ignoring all other factors. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're already good. Go.
I mean, ignoring, the fact that one of them is going to face the Lakers. I think if they were to face each other, I'm taking the Suns, and I think it just comes down to, their superstar leader, CP3. I think it's just a younger, more hungrier team, and I would love to see them face each other in the playoffs at some point.
Yeah, I took the Jazz, though, just going that way. I feel like, they're more of a veteran team. They got a guy, Donovan Mitchell, who's been showing it ever since his rookie year that he's a star in this league. Also, Rudy Gobert, his defense is just so valuable to this team. I think Mike Conley's taken another step up. He didn't have that great of a first year in Utah. I think we also got to look at other players such as Bogdanovich. Jordan Clarkson's been having a 6th Man of the Year season. I just think when it really comes down to it, it's going to be whose impact is more valuable. Is it Chris Paul or is it Rudy Gobert? Because I think those two guys are the huge X factors for the teams. I think the Jazz have something to prove out there. They got embarrassed up 3-1 versus the Nuggets last season, and they lost. Obviously came down to the last shot. Mike Conley couldn't do it, but I think they're down to redeem themselves this year. I think the Jazz got a shot. If the Lakers aren't healthy, they might be my pick to make it to the finals.
Yeah, definitely. I'm feeling the Suns too. So next question from at trv.chase, again, our boy. All the homeboys are showing us love this Sunday. So 2-parter. Do you think the power dynamic is shifting in college football with schools like Northwestern sending 3 guys in the first 2 rounds of the draft, or North Dakota State having 2 guys drafted? Liam, I'll start with you this time. What do you think?
Yeah, so sorry, Chase, I had to correct you. Northwestern sent 2 guys in the first round. Their 3rd guy was in the 5th round. I checked it beforehand because I didn't remember a 3rd guy. But I think it does show that scouts are, looking at other schools and seeing a lot more talent. And you also got to look at the same thing. It's not like a trend that isn't relatively new. You got to think of the stars in the NFL, the guys that have come from schools. It's not always Bama. It's not always LSU. It's not always, the USCs, shout out Miami, rock my Sean Taylor jersey here today on the podcast. But, Patrick Mahomes went to a rather small school. I know. Patrick Mahomes went to a rather small school in Texas Tech. Aaron Donald went to Pittsburgh. A lot of these guys didn't go to these big name schools, Russell Wilson from NC State / Wisconsin. So I think, it's really good showing, especially, Northwestern is an up and coming program, though. They should have found themselves in that championship game for their conference this year. And then North Dakota State seems like ever since Wentz has got drafted that they've had a big eye on them. Obviously, Trey Lance broke all the news when he had that, no interception season. So I think it does go to show that these smaller programs, when they have a shot to show off out of the Senior Bowl, they're going to show out. And I think these scouts are understanding now that you don't have to be a 5-star or, a 4-star or this, the best player in your state to be recognized by one of these scouts, that you could be a guy that goes under the radar, has that hard work ethic, or just excels in their team, and they can get drafted.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a shift in sports overall. I don't know if it's necessarily more prevalent in football. I think it's definitely more happening in college basketball. Obviously, we saw a guy like John Morant play for a very small school and make a name for himself, get drafted top 5. I think it's great for sports. It's great for recruiting. It's great for the guys, that more so wouldn't get no playing time on one of these powerhouse teams and can make a name for themselves on a smaller school, really shine and be the star. And I just think it's great overall for all sports.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just good for, kids like coming up. It's like, it just shows you like you don't have to, get a scholarship to Alabama or LSU. Like you said, it doesn't matter where you end up as long as you just keep working hard, keep doing your thing. That like talent like is going to get noticed. Like it's not going to go unnoticed. And also I think it's just like, NFL coaching, like the system, some players, no matter their rank or whatnot, they might just, get drafted the best fit and they'll be in the best system for them. And I think like that's also a big, big factor in just like, developing talent. So next question we got from @CordDumars, again, our boy. Where does Jamar and Joe Burrow rank among the top QB wide receiver duos for the next 5 years? Really, really great question. Very similar to like the first question about the top 5 players under 25. I'll start with Jose this time. What do you think?
Yeah, so I'm covering this in our draft recap video. I think Jamar is better than Justin Jefferson, and he showed it in college. But I just wanted to bring up a couple other QB wide receiver duos and see if you guys think they are better than these guys. So Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf.
As of now, yes.
And also, assuming that Russ is going to be there for 5 years.
Yeah. Dak and Amari.
I'd say Dak and CD in a couple of years. I think it's close. Depends on who develops more as a core. I think it also depends on Joe Burrow in that situation.
Yeah. A-Rod and Devontae.
Yes. For now, but not in the future.
Mahomes and Hill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely interesting. I mean, a lot of guys hated on the Jamar
Allen
pick,
Diggs too. I would take them over 100%.
Yeah.
But no, I just to add on, I think it's kind of rare that we see a quarterback wide receiver duo that comes from the same college that were teammates, and especially that they were on a championship level, historic level offense. Jamar Chase put up these crazy Belinda Comp numbers to win. Going with Justin Jefferson and a second round receiver in Terrace Marshall Jr. I think it's pretty crazy to see. I think it's gonna be interesting though. It's gonna be like, is T. Higgins, who we all saw chemistry with last season, is he still gonna be prevalent in this offense? Because if so, it's gonna be hard for him to, Jamar Chase to put up those solo wide receiver 1 numbers when there's so much other talent around there with a strong slot guy in Tyler Boyd and an outside presence who shined a lot of potential last year in T. Higgins. I think it really does show, if Jamar Chase pans out to be the player that we all expect him to be, worthy of that top 5 pick, I think there's no doubt if Joe Burrow's healthy, I think they still need to get an offensive line piece, in next year's draft. That needs to be the priority. I think this is going to be a top 5 duo no matter what.
Real quick, another duo, Tua and Waddle.
I would take Burrow and Jamar still. Yeah. Just because Tua hasn't proven himself yet, but I still have hope for Tua. I think this year, like it's like might be a big year for him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I could see them. I mean, because like the NFL is just so weird. You never know. I mean, like the duos we just mentioned, like some of them could, be broken up next season or in a couple seasons. You just like never know. But I think, in 5 years, they're definitely going to be like at least like a top 10 duo. If not like, ceiling wise, it could easily be top 5. So I'm really excited for that. All right, next question from Court. Best defender in basketball. You guys know my answer is Ben Simmons. But I don't know, Liam, what do you think?
I just made it simple. I would go Ben Simmons as well, but I'm rocking with Gobert here. I just think he's dominant inside, and he's shown it for the last couple of years. But if I want to be specific, I'm taking last year's playoff Lou Dort man locked down James Harden like it was nothing, and then he's continuing the ball out. So I think a couple of years, even he could be one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. So watch out for him.
Yeah, I think when he turns it on, obviously he's got other duties that he's got to take care of, but let's say he was just focusing on defense. I think there's no way anyone is better than Kawhi Leonard. I mean, he's a multi-time Defensive Player of the Year award winner. Locked down LeBron James in the finals. I think he's shifted a lot more into an offensive player, and takes plays off on defense because he's just tired. But he was drafted like as a wing defender and has developed into a more well-rounded player. But I think overall the best defender is Kawhi Leonard because he can just guard every single position.
Yeah. I think Gobert, like at its peak for like that certain aspect of defense, like rim protection, I think is better. But I think overall, just Ben, I mean, just like the 1 through 5. Same with Dort. Like, I mean, Dort might not be like a 1 through 5, but certainly like a 1 through 4. I think someone not like best defender or anything, but I think like someone that has a really, really high ceiling that I think could possibly get to like that Kawhi level. I really like him on the Bulls, like Patrick Williams. I think he has a lot of potential as a wing defender. I'm really excited to see, where he's at in like a few years.
Hey, one guy who's been injured that we haven't talked about, Jonathan Isaac. He had a fantastic season before he got injured.
True. Yeah.
A block and a half, I think a steal and a half. This guy's going to be crazy. As long as that Orlando franchise can do something out there, it's going to be hard for him to get recognized, but he's got the length. We knew he was going to be like that coming out of the draft. So I think another guy, fantastic player from FSU as well. So Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah, big time. Next question, again, coming from Court. Is Fernando Tatis Jr. more valuable in center field? At first, I was like seriously, but then like reconsidering, I'm like, because the Padres, that might be like their slight Achilles heel is just like, the outfield. But now it's like, this is actually a pretty interesting question. What do you think, Jose?
I mean, I have seen this. Obviously, I think that he was taking reps in the outfield the other day. But I think there's no way he provides more value for the Padres in center field. He's one of the best defensive shortstops in the league already. And they have probably the best corner infield in the MLB. And another thing, like defensive outfielders, like solely defensive outfielders are not that hard to come by in the MLB. Like guys that maybe can't hit, but they can do their job in outfield. You can go get a guy like that easily. So I don't think he will provide more value in center field.
Yeah, I mean, this is a question that Court was talking to me about over text a couple of days ago, and it makes sense. I mean, you got to look into the numbers. So Aussie fielding percentage is a big thing, what we see. And this year, Fernando Tatis has been actually statistically one of the worst shortstops in terms of fielding, actually, which I got to take blame for because I praised him on his fielding because that's what I thought he was good at. This year, his fielding percentage is 85.3%, which is nearly 11% below the fielding percentage, the average fielding percentage for a shortstop, which is 96.6. So obviously the errors have been a very big problem for him this year. And I think, maybe it's something that you want to consider, but at the same time, it's hard because there's no DH position in the NL. So you kind of got to rock with him for what he has. But I think, it's got to be something that he got to go into the offseason. He's got to continue to work on. We know he's an athlete. And if he's such a good athlete, there's no way that he can't be a decent fielder, or at least serviceable fielder. He doesn't need to be the Brandon Crawford out there at shortstop, but I think if he's a solid, serviceable guy that can get the job done at shortstop, I think there's a lot of other talented fielders on that squad that can make up for it.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the fielding percentage. I think that's going to come around. I mean, Tatis is someone that will make every tough play, but the routine plays are and the consistency is what's hard for him. And I think that's just gonna, that's something that's gonna come with age. He's still so young. He's like 21. And I think he does still have the potential to be one of like the best defensive shortstops. But I think if you put him in the center field, he'd be like an above average center fielder at best. And Jose made a great point. Like there's so many guys on every team that are just like strictly like defensive outfielders. You can find those everywhere. Get them for get guys like that for cheap. I think that's probably the best option for the Padres moving forward because he's just too talented and too good at shortstop, and especially pairing him with like right next to Machado, you got to keep that going. So, but I do really like the question, just because that is probably like the weakest part of the Padres is just their outfield. Next question from @DR Jose. Who do you think is going to be the Champions League matchup? I have no clue about. I don't follow soccer. I know Jose, you were talking about it earlier that you kind of follow it a little bit, so I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think this season the most dominant team is definitely Manchester City. I mean, they've got the Premier League on lock. They're probably going to win the treble if they win this Champions League. They've obviously got the ups on Paris. Chelsea's got no business being in the Champions League, so they're definitely going to. Any team from the other side. I know, DR, you're a Real Madrid fan, but Man City's going to take this. Whoever comes out of the other side, Man City's going to just demolish them. I'm sorry.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and then a last question from Chase. Which team surprised you the most in the NFL draft? I'll start with you this time, Liam.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we're going to touch on this in our episode that will be coming out later this week, whether that be Monday or Tuesday. But I think the team that surprised the most was actually a team that just made one pick that surprised me, and I would say that's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously, they took Trevor Lawrence in the first round, but their second pick made no sense to me. Urban Meyer came out and said Travis Etienne was drafted to be a third down running back. Why are you spending a first round pick on a third down running back when you already have one of the best running backs, young running backs in the league, and James Robinson, who had a fantastic season as an undrafted free agent? What that's like. I was talking to my friend who's a Patriots fan. That's like drafting James White in the first round just to strictly be your third down running back. Like, obviously, Travis Etienne is a fantastic running back. I think that he deserves to have a spot as the number one role, but I think it bums a lot of people out in fantasy, and it just bums a lot of Jacksonville fans out in general who, so happy for this undrafted guy to come out there and ball for them. So that's the one pick that very surprised me, which is the team that surprised me. But also overall, very good draft, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah. I think Jacksonville came out and said they would have taken Kadarius Toney had the Giants not taken him at pick 20. I think they just got like over eager after taking Lawrence, and they were like, all right, this draft's kind of over. We're just going to kind of ball, just kind of see what happens. But my pick for the most surprising team is just so out of character for them is the New England Patriots. I mean, drafting Mac Jones in the first round, even though they have had a really, unorthodox offseason, it's just like the most, in a way, it is a really Patriots move, but it's also a really surprising move for them to believe in a guy like Mac Jones with their first round pick.
Yeah, definitely. Mine was the Bears. Just, they've been, so dormant at quarterback for, years, decades now. And I think it was just shot. I mean, I had no clue. I mean, I didn't really hear any rumors or anything they were going to try and trade up. But the fact that, they did a ballsy move and traded up to, get their, potential franchise quarterback in field, someone that fell. And I thought it was I'm super excited. I'm just excited for Bears fans and finally like have some hope. And it just really surprised me just to see like a team like that, never really makes like an aggressive move like that, just jump up and get a guy that, hopefully I think we'll probably start pretty soon. He'll probably start within like the first like 4 to 6 games, unless Dalton turns into like Patrick Mahomes or something. But I was just really surprised to see the Bears be that aggressive for a quarterback.
Yeah.
So that was our last question. Thank you guys again for submitting everything. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate the feedback and just all the questions, showing love. But without further ado, I think that's going to wrap it up for our third Sunday talk. And then we'll catch you guys with our draft recap, which we're about to go film right now. So yeah. Peace.